Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am so excited because I have the new Natasha Denona Golden Palette, and I do have some plans for this palette. I really want to go through and compare this to obviously the Gold palette, the Metropolis palette, the Yucca palette, basically everything Natasha Denona has done that has gold in it. But my plan was that today we're just gonna do a first impression, gonna do some swatches, do a quick cute little eye look, and I will be posting an up close like overhead video doing a bunch of comparison swatches hopefully sometime next week. So let me know if you're into that idea, because I really want to give the comparisons all they've got, and I do not have the time for that today unfortunately, but at the same time I'm dying to get this on my eyelids. And the packaging on this is truly stunning. It looks like liquid gold. She really outdid herself with this one because it's still so sleek. It's the same midi size, but it is just, I love it. I really love it, even though I've already got fingerprints on it. Go figure. So here's what the palette looks like on the inside. Obviously we've got a ton of gold tones. We've got some beautiful warm neutrals, and it just looks, it looks warm and delicious. It's been a while since I wore such a warm eye look, but I'm just such a sucker for Natasha Denona. I'm pretty sure this palette is $69. I think that's what I paid for it. And if you do decide to purchase it through the Natasha Denona website, I do have an affiliate code. It's just AMYLOVES, and I believe it saves you 15% off on there. So let's start swatching. I was already making jokes in my head because I thought that the first shade was Miko, and I was like, Miko, A, Miko, A, but it's not. It says Mliko. So it is like a yellowy beige matte, and it feels very creamy to the touch. Oh my gosh, I'm so out of sorts. I started with the wrong finger. I always swatch 1, 2, 3 and then. Okay, we have the shade Nubia, which looks like a really soft kind of taupey gold, and it does kind of just have like a nice little shine to it. I'm hoping okay. I'm hoping that we'll have some beautiful shimmers in here, because I feel like sometimes with the Natasha Denona midi palettes, there's some really good shimmers, and then sometimes they're just like, okay. So I do have high hopes for this one. We've got the shade Panna, which looks like a very soft, again, kind of beigey nude shade. And like I said, the mattes do feel very creamy. That's funny. That actually looks super orange on my hand, and in the pan it looks more taupey. I guess just because of the orange background, it throws you off just a little bit. So it's looking even warmer on my skin. Next we've got Aria, which looks like a really beautiful soft brown, just a very pale warm brown. We've got Fizzy, which is a light champagne-y gold, and that one does seem to have like little sparkles throughout it. Definitely a little bit more of that thin kind of topper formula. We've got Varus, which this looks like a satin, kind of like olivey bronze. Huh. Oh, that's pretty. Definitely a very pigmented satin. Could definitely do another swipe on Aria. I almost feel like Natasha Denona is setting herself up for failure with this palette in some ways, because everyone is going to be comparing it to the Gold palette. It was so iconic. It was such a good palette. In my opinion, it's still the best palette she's ever done. So it's like, is this actually going to be a good replacement for it? Because so far, I feel like the shimmers are not giving what the Gold palette shimmers give. But we've got Aura, which looks like a kind of white pale shimmer, but it has a gold duochrome to it. I'm trying not to be a negative Nancy right now, but I'm just comparing this to the similar shade that's in the Gold palette, which is lime chrome, and I feel like that it's almost like this is like a step back. Like if this had come first and then Gold came second, it would have been like, oh, I see the vision. But at the same time, I'm like, maybe this is supposed to be more of like a neutral, soft version of the same palette, like a little bit less fun. I don't know. More mainstream. We've got the shade Teak, which is a warm brown. That one feels pretty pigmented. It has like a little bit of a mustardy undertone. We've got Kava, She's delicious to eat. This is just kind of like a soft yellowy gold. Makes me think of Belle from Beauty and the Beast, her dress. We've got Sandstone, which is another like light brown. This one is a little bit lighter than Teak and a little bit more yellowy than Aria. Got Aurum. Ooh, that's definitely a really pretty metallic. One of the nicest golds yet, honestly. Like it's a satiny shade and it doesn't have any shimmer or anything to it, but it just looks very, very shiny. And then we've got Log, which is the deepest matte brown. And it does look like Log is a little bit more on the neutral side, like not an uber warm brown. Okay, I'm gonna give that another little go. Next we have the shade Oro, which looks like a brilliant, super bright gold, super metallic. High hopes for that one. It does look very beautiful, very shiny, but again, no like shimmer or anything to it. We've got Flesh, which is another kind of like beigey shade, very similar to Panna. And then we've got Alchemist, which is kind of like a taupey gold again, kind of similar to Nubia, but maybe a little bit more something to it. Look at Oro, that's beautiful. Huh. Okay, so there is the entire palette swatched out. And I don't think it looks bad by any means. I think that it's really pretty. I think that if you love gold shadows, this could be a great one. The mattes feel very, very creamy. I feel like if this is your personal preference, it could be nice. I'm not seeing any special shades in here. I suppose if I'm comparing this to other things that are available at Sephora, this would still be higher up on my list, but not necessarily like standing out if you think of all eyeshadow palettes that are available, if that makes sense. But let's go ahead and do an eye look, because sometimes an eyeshadow palette would look boring, but then it ends up being something I'm reaching for constantly. That was like me with the Melt Brunette palette. I was like, this is so boring. I just want to go take a nap. But then it actually ended up being a staple palette for me. Just going in with a touch of the ABH eyeshadow primer to prime my lids. I do have a little bit of mascara on already, so don't mind that. I think I'm gonna start off with the lightest matte shade Mliko and just use that to highlight underneath my brow bone. See, I feel like it's not super brightening on me. It kind of just blends into my skin tone. And then let's go into a little bit of Flesh. I'm just gonna pop that into my crease on this side, just because I'm kind of curious to see how some of these compare to one another. And then let's do Panna on this side. Okay, yeah, so even though they look similar in the palette, Panna is definitely much lighter. So I'm kind of just gonna throw that on and then basically reverse it. Go in with Panna right here on top and then go with a little bit of Flesh underneath. That sounded kind of gross. Mattes are blending very easily. Definitely no issues there, which there rarely ever is. Let's go into a little bit of the shade Teak. I think I'm just gonna pop that onto, ooh, look at that pigmentation. Okay. Even got a little bit of fallout. Definitely would recommend tapping that off, but just gonna pop that onto my outer V. That's so pretty. Such a warm golden brown. It's kind of weird seeing myself in such warm tones because I've been all about the cool tones recently, and especially with my collab, like just been wearing cool tone every single day pretty much, but that does look really pretty. Kind of into it. That's kind of what I was saying though, with the swatches, sometimes it's just like, nah. Then on the eyes, it's just a different experience. So I think I'm gonna go into just a little bit of Log just to try it, like just a touch, even though I'm not necessarily wanting to go too dramatic today, just a tiny, tiny little bit. I go into a pretty clean, separate blending brush and just kind of go over the edges there. It's I was using kind of a small brush to do all of my work. I think I'm also going to take a touch of teak on a small kind of tiny little brush and throw that along the lower lash line about halfway, just kind of connecting, but I don't necessarily want to go, you know, with too much depth. And then you know what, I might take that same brush and go into just a touch of log and line that close to my lashes. Not perfect at all by any means, but just getting a little bit more definition right here. I feel like we definitely need to play with some of these shimmers now, so maybe let's start off with a little bit of Aura. Just popping that right onto the inner corner. Like I said, it does have a little bit of a gold duochrome, but I would say it's pretty subtle. I think I'm gonna go into a little bit of the shade Fizzy for the inner half of my lower lash line, just because it had like a pretty little shine to it. I'm gonna use the shade Aurum on my finger, just because I feel like that was the one shimmer that really made me go like, ooh, like wasn't expecting that. So I'm gonna use that all over my lid. I wish it had a little bit more something to it. Like, not even that it has to be like super intense and sparkly, but maybe even just like a little bit shinier. Like, I don't know, I just feel like there's something missing. Might even go into a little bit of Aura with my finger as well and just pop that over top of that just for a little extra dimension. And then going in with the Lancome Teint Idole mascara, which I'm literally obsessed with. I never thought that I could like a mascara as much as I like this mascara. I prefer just doing my upper lashes with it because I feel like it just looks so wispy and dainty and just like, it's like pretty. Like I didn't even think a mascara could just be pretty versus like functional. I love it so much. On my cheeks, I do already have my blush palette with Adept, the Adept X AMYLOVES blush palette, and I did throw on a little bit of Cupid with Athena on top. I feel like Cupid is a good blush with this because even though it has pink, it also has a little bit of warmth to it, so it's not too strange next to the gold. For lips, I'm going to go into Lisa Eldridge Sweet Fig. This is one of the new lip balms, the Balm Embrace. So pretty. I should already have a full video up on my channel about these. Alright y'all, so there is my finished look with the Natasha Denona Golden Palette, and I have to say I have mixed feelings on this one. I think that the quality is good. I really like the eye look that I got. I feel like it was easy to work with, but at the same time, I'm definitely not blown away by this one. I don't feel like there are any special shadows in here. I feel like even like if we're just comparing midi palettes, the Yucca palette had some really intense, beautiful shimmers in there, and there was like a mixture of finishes, whereas here I feel like you're getting a lot of just like a soft satin finish, which is not necessarily what Natasha Denona is known for. So I would just keep that in mind when you're deciding whether to purchase this or not. That's not to say that it's a bad palette. Like I said, good experience working with it. It felt pigmented, felt creamy, soft to the touch, but I still prefer the gold more. So like I said, I'm going to be doing a full comparison overhead video coming very soon. Don't forget to like this video if you are interested in seeing those comparisons, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!